All right, we're recording now, right?
Yeah,
Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, let's talk
yeah.
about
This the infinity, this thing, they've not corrected it. Sorry, sir.
no, that's okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right, please kindly mute your audios while we get on with class, please. Okay, today we're going to start a class on fundamental SQL, MySQL for data analysis, right? And this class is powered by Educator. Educator NG is a company that teaches people tech skills ranging from data analysis, um, data science, machine learning and artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, cloud computing, graphics design. We have all of those in pack, but this is a free training. This is one of our free programs that we are having. So it's titled Fundamental MySQL for Data Analysis, and I'm going to be your presenter in this training. My name is Honor Matthew. So that's where you have the Honor ME here. Okay, so we can get on to class directly. Okay, so the question is, every one of you that is here, why are you here? Like, so we gave out a form and we were able to take a survey on why everyone is here. So we have a few of feedback, like a few feedback on the reasons why people join this training. So I'm going to share some of them with us. Okay, so we really need to find a way to make this happen before our next class. All right, thank you all for joining. So we're talking about why you are here, not again, please. Okay, so guys, either we are getting an admin or please, wherever you are, please try and just log into class early so we don't have all of these interruptions, people logging in and all of that. Just try it, 9 o'clock. Let's be in class so that once we start class, we won't be having interruptions back and forth. Thank you for your usual cooperation.
Hello, sir. Can we
Yes, ma'am.
remove waiting room? Is there any way we can remove waiting room?
No, 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 I can't find that feature.
Okay, that's okay.
Yes, I can't. But I'm going to explore that again. Maybe I'll properly, thoroughly check for that and see how it happens.
That's okay,
If
sir.
I find that future, otherwise, maybe we might consider another platform. But we're good for now.
I think they, sorry, sir, on that,
Yes, I'm with
I
you.
think they did a recent update that removed that feature. You may not
The
be
waiting
able
room
to
feature.
remove it.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Uh, okay.
sorry, sir.
Yes.
Matthew,
Yes,
I
Thomas.
think another way we can go about it is that
Mm.
probably the person that will be um giving them the permission to join the class should be the one to create the link. So while you are teaching, while you are sharing your
Okay,
screen,
no, I totally get that, but the feature we're using to have to record class and all that is a paid feature. So if we have anyone creating the link, they must be creating the
oh,
link from a paid feature. Do you understand? So this platform
okay,
we're using, and having to take this number, record class, it's a paid feature.
wow, okay.
So yeah, that's the limitation we may have on that one. But that was a good one, though. I'll find a way around it in our next class. We won't be having these interruptions. Okay. All right, guys. For the meantime, let's just have this in mind, please. Wherever you are coming in from, try as much as possible. Once it's 5 minutes past 9, you should already be in class, right? So that from that 5 minutes, we will not be having interruptions of people logging in here and there anymore. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. All right. Let's just see if we can get back to our presentation without plenty interruptions. So question why you are here. So I was saying that we took a bit of survey talking about why a lot of people are taking this training and all of that, and the findings might actually interest you. First off, we found out that about 45% of everyone here is taking this course because they want career advancement. Okay, so I don't know, you guys were the ones that filled the form, so I'm very, very sure some of you will be like, yeah, that's me, guilty as charged. Secondly, we also found out that about 24% of people, about 24.3 actually percent of people here are taking this course because they want to switch careers into tech totally. And then the same amount of people again, 24.3 percent of people, and also are taking this course because they want personal growth and development. So we have people here for career advancement. Other people want to switch careers. Other people they just want to grow. Let's see what this training has for us. Maybe I'm not sure. Just want to grow. Okay. So we have all of those here, and then we have the mystery reason why everybody is here, right? So all together, we just realized that yeah, people actually want to make money. Everybody wants to make money. So I'm very sure that everyone that is here, 100% of it, maybe except for the 1% like me who does not like money, sha, because me like this, I'm not sure I like money like that. So except for that 1%, but I believe that 100% of people here are doing all of this because not just for the fun of it, just but because they are looking at increasing their earning and all of that. So if that sounds like you, kindly confirm.
Yes, confirm.
Yeah, I heard your voice. Blessing, right? Was that
Yes,
blessing?
yes.
Okay. Yeah, you sound like somebody that really wants money. Don't worry, we are together, me and you.
Everything
Okay.
we do is of money.
Everything, yeah, everything is because of money. I see somebody saying, "Oh, I want to be like you, who doesn't like money, oh, but my body and
No
soul will not."
mind.
All right. Okay. So we believe that everybody, in one way or the other, wants to up their earning and all of that. So this is what this is a lot of why we are holding this because we want to also empower people. Statistically, we notice that I think that's not the World Bank now, but statistically, it's been proven that at the end of 2025, more than 50% of the working population of the world entirely would need to reskill to learn new skill for them to retain their jobs. So you can see that what we are dealing with is a lot of change. There's a revolution going on, guys. There's a revolution going on around in the world entirely. And if you don't jump into this revolution, you'll be left behind. Some time ago, this it wasn't like that. When we were talking about tech, pressing phones, social media, YouTube, content creation, they didn't have so much of voices. I believe that a lot of us are in Nigeria, or a lot of us grew up in Nigeria. A lot of us are here Nigerians. So I believe that maybe while you were coming up, you must have heard of the doctor, lawyer, and accountant thing, right? You were either going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an accountant. And if you're none of these three, then you are not serious with your life at all. Right now, it's not so much about being a doctor, a lawyer, or an accountant anymore. Well, I still feel that those careers are still good career paths, though. But after COVID-19, a lot has happened, both most especially in the accounting industry. A lot has happened there. During COVID-19, I can remember banks dropping a lot of employees. Like that COVID-19 season really, really affected those that were in the banking sectors. And a lot of them have not even recovered. I've met a lot of them driving boats, doing one thing or the other, just to get to survive. And so basically, what we are saying is what you're doing right now, you may not see the immediate impact of this until someday you want to become an accountant and you are required to have analytics skill or one tech skill or the other before you can function perfectly, excuse me, as an accountant. Other times, maybe you want to be a doctor. I'm not sure about the medical industry. I'm not so familiar with the medical industry, but I believe that those guys, one way or the other, they may have a bit of immunity for the main time. But even at that, I feel like there's a lot of revolution going on in the medical industry, most especially with robotics and automation, that would need a lot of medical doctors to upgrade their skills too. But the point I'm trying to make here is if you're here and your goal is to make money, then one of the things that you want to consider very strongly is to check your skill set. Check if the skill set that you have at the moment is one of the skill set that is in high demand. Okay, so that's the way you can increase your earning ability. Okay, so let's take on that. So we have that. Now, today we'll be talking about MySQL. MySQL, SQL, or MySQL, like the way we call it. Usually, it's called SQL. Is pronounced as SQL. So MySQL. First of all, before you understand the concept of SQL, you most likely would need to understand the concept of databases. Okay, databases. So I'm just going to allow one person speak. One person. When you hear the word database, what comes to mind? Doctors don't have any immunity, right? It's even worse for them because nanotechnology is sacking them. That's true, Sha. But doctors in Nigeria, there's no nanotechnology yet. There's not even a light for nanotechnology even. Okay, so we have that. Databases. Anybody who has come across databases can please just let me know. One person. One person. Olive, do you want to say something? You have your hands up.
No, I
Olive,
think it's an old man. It's an old man.
the old hand. Okay. All right. Database. Richard, say something.
Yes. Yes, I want to say something.
Okay.
Yes.
Database. When you hear database, what comes to your mind?
Okay, for me, I see it as a place where data are stored, where we can
Okay.
compile different data sets and store them like different in tables. We can compile them together and store them, and it is more secured because most times they are uploaded to a server.
Interesting. Serious
So
issue. Okay, I'm with
So
you.
I think it is more secure than just having some files and putting it into your hard disk. So working with a database is more easy and even with working with database can allow you manage your data easily from my little understanding of MySQL, it allows to manage data easily.
Guys, how you know proud people is when they say they have little understanding, but they are killing it. All right, thank you, Richard. That was an awesome contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay,
you, sir.
Helen, you want to say something? Helen. Okay, old hand. I said one, so permit me to just take one more before we get back to class. Steven.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think database is digital storage, uh, storage for
Hmm.
data generally. It's a place where whether it's manually like Excel is a database, you can create a database in Excel just for yourself. Then when you put in all your data digitally and store it for future access or retrieval, that is a database.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Steven. You can mute your audio now. Thank you very much. First fish, mute your audio. All right. First fish entertainment. Wow, that's some name there. First fish and entertainment. Okay. All right. I'm just going to let that pass. Thanks. All right. So talking about databases, you can see that we have a bit of basket here with fruit inside. That's like if you understand this picture, then you totally understand what a database is. Is a database is a systematic collection of data typically stored electronically in a computer system. Again, databases are used to store and organize data so that it can be easily accessed, managed, and updated. Now, these three words are very key: access to data, data management, and updated. Okay, so this is what a database is. Just think about it: somewhere where a data is kept for safekeeping and then allows for easy access, easy management, and easy updating. Okay, so that's what a database is. All right, thank you very much. Do we understand this? Can we make progress from this?
Yes,
Can
sir.
we make
Yes.
progress?
Yes,
Awesome.
sir.
All right, great. So, if this is what a database is, what's the next question that we have here? Where data comes from?
Yes.
First off, before we even move to where data comes from, we've been talking data. Can somebody just tell me what do you understand when you hear the word data? Data. Okay, let me see who is speaking. One person.
Yeah.
Well, talk to me. Data.
Okay, so when I hear data, I hear
Mm.
information,
Structured,
Info,
structured
information.
information,
information.
details about something. When you say, give me data about someone, that means you need details about the person, information about the person's name, the age, their features, and all that.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, so we have that. Olives, new hand. Talk to me. Data is information collected to create insight. Thank you very much. For those of you who can just type it, you can type it, right? Thank you very much. That's Wura Ola. You can get data from any or anywhere, from anything or anywhere. Thank you very much. Olives, say something. Data.
Okay, from my own understanding, data is unprocessed information.
Unprocessed information. New oil. Raw fact. Okay, I see that. Patrick, all is well. Please mute your mic. Thank you very much. All right. So data is collection of facts. Data is a processed information. Data is structured and unstructured information. Okay. So we have a lot of things here too. Pretty much. Um, Let me mute this guy. All right. So pretty much, I'm just going to give us data is unprocessed, or unorganized. What? Data is unprocessed or unorganized information that is processed to give meaning. Data is referred to qualitative variable. Well, I think I'm just going to stop reading this for now before myself I now end up getting confused even. All right, so let me just give you this simple definition. Data is a record of anything, any person, any entity, any activity. So long as there's a record about that thing, that record is called data. Okay, so we have a video when we started our Power BI class. I think the first class that we did, we talked about what data is, how it comes, and all of that. But we are doing a bit of review just because there are some people who are coming into data analysis for the first time. Okay, so where does data comes from? Data comes from us when we do what? Do things like create accounts, right? When we do things like shop online, make banking transactions. So a lot of you retrieve your data back from banks when you ask for your account statement, right? At the end of maybe the year, account statement and all of that. That's your data you're getting back. But all of those records of transaction, all of those recorded transactions or recorded activities, they are all called data. When you do things like fill forms online, like I believe that every one of you here, that every one of you that are here right now, filled a form before you got into this place, right? A Google form where you inserted your name, email, contact details,
Yeah.
and the reason why you wanted to be here. So when you fill forms like that, what you just did was to give data, right? So all of those things are called data. Data also comes when we do things like upload posts online, upload pictures online, captions, status, all of those things, they all amount to data. Even when we are chatting between ourselves, although it's called encrypted data, but it all amounts to data. All those conversations we have on our WhatsApp group there, they're all data. So you can see that from if you understand it that way, you can see that everything we do every day, what we are doing is that we are giving data. Somebody somehow collects data. Question number two: how does data flow? Data flows from people through devices, and in those devices, there are applications that collect those data and then forward those data to databases. Now, let me give you a literal example of this. Say, for instance, now every one of us have phones, right? So we are people, okay, and then we have devices, phones. So our devices could be laptops, smartwatches, phones, what are devices, tablets, and all of those. Are we together? And it could be either Android or Mac OS or any other OS. Like, by OS now I mean operating system now. Okay, so we could be running on our devices could be running on any of those operating systems. But one thing that is common, whether you are having a HP or you're having iPhone or you're having Samsung, whatever you're having, one thing that is common is that in that device there are applications. Are we together? There are applications like Map, applications like WhatsApp, applications like Instagram, Facebook, your call log, applications like your SMS log, applications like Gmail. All of these are applications, weather applications, phone recorder, blah, blah, blah. All of those are applications that we have inside our phone. Some of us, all of us, every one of us, I believe every one of us has YouTube installed on our phones. Okay, so what happens with these applications? Every time we are interacting with these applications are taking data from us. Do you understand? Like if you're chatting through your WhatsApp, if you're backing up your contact to Gmail, if you're trying to use Map to move from one location to another, what happens is that all of those things that you're doing, what you are doing is that you are giving out data. Now, these data in turn are uploaded into databases. Okay, remember we said database is a database, simply put, is where data is being stored digitally. Okay, so all of these applications upload data into databases. Now that's how data flows. So imagine 8 billion people all over the world using different types of devices with different kinds of applications. Now, I'm not saying 100,000 people. I'm not saying 100 people. I'm not saying 1 million people or 10 million people. I'm saying 8 billion people. Okay? Now imagine 8 billion people interacting every day, one way or the other. Even people in the thickest village, one way or the other, finding, they are still maybe trying to access one way, one civilization or the other, putting out data online and all of that. So imagine data coming from all of those places into a database. Okay, so this is how data flows. Data flows from people through their devices and applications into databases. Do we understand this?
Yes, he do.
Sir.
All right, thank
Yes,
you.
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Let me
Yes.
see who are waiting to join. Okay, we don't have anyone waiting to join class again. All right, makes sense. So this is what data is. This is where it comes from, and this is how it flows from every one of us into databases. All right. So now let's talk about database management systems. Now, if we're talking about database management system, what we are talking about is this: that okay, we have a place where data is coming from everywhere into. Okay, now we need to create a system. A system is interconnected ways or processes that we can use to access this data to or manage this data. Like management will be accessing the data number in the first place. Other than accessing the data, it will mean being able to modify the data. Okay, so we have been able to access the data. We can remove data, remove whatever data we don't want, access modify whatever data we need to modify. Okay, join whatever data we need to join, manipulate data, all of those data within that distance. So what allows us to do all of those kind of processes on this data that we are collecting, they are called management systems. Not just management systems, they are called database management systems. Okay, so the short form for database management system is DBMS, because the short form for database is DB. Okay, so the management and the system is MS. Okay, are we together? So under database management system, we have two kind of database management system. First off, we have a relational database management system. We have relational database management system, and we have non-relational database management systems. Are we together? All right. So under relational database management system, we have Microsoft SQL Server database. I can um, I, I can remember somebody mentioning that they had SSMS in the group, that whether they should install MySQL because they had SSMS already installed in their PC. SSMS simply stands for I think SQL Server Management System. So the full application is Microsoft SSMS, which is Microsoft SQL Server Management System. Okay, so that one belongs to Microsoft. Next, we have Oracle database. Okay, next we have MySQL database, which is the one we are dealing with right now. And next we have PostgreSQL, also in database. Other than relational database, we also have non-relational database management system. In non-relational database management system, we have MongoDB, Dynamo, Hadoop, Big Data. I don't know if you've heard of any of this name. I think most popularly you should be hearing a lot of Big Data and maybe MongoDB. If you go deeper a bit, you start hearing about Hadoop and DynamoDB. All right. So all of these are non-relational database management system. I know you may want to ask, well, let me not even ask the question for you. You may want to ask, what's the difference between relational database management system and non-relational database management system? But until you ask, I'm just going to leave that, and then
Somebody has asked. We have
somebody has
asked
asked
already.
already.
You have helped us to ask. You have
You
read
have
our
asked
mind.
on our behalf.
Oh, I'm the one that asked.
Pastor is there.
No, somebody has typed the question earlier.
Yes.
Oh, really? I didn't hear
Pastor.
that. Okay, let me add. Ah. All right. So let's talk about relational database management system, relational database, and non-relational database. Okay, so the concept of relational database and non-relational database is simply a thing of structure and arrangement, and no structure or no arrangement. Now let me explain this way. If you go to an Excel file, okay, let me use a whiteboard. I think it's going to help me. Okay, so now that I'm answering this question, if anybody has any other question, you can ask so that we'll just deal with them while we make some progress. Who's coming to class 9:35? Aderonke. Aderonke, welcome to class. All right, let's see this example. So we have relational here. All right, relational DBMS. Let's call this DBMS. Now, in the concept of relational DBMS or database management system is, let's just think about structured data or tables, right? So think structure or think tables. Now, in a table, if for instance now we have, a table is made up of columns and rows, right? In tables we have columns and we also have rows. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
how table makes sense is that if we have a column called name, for instance, it only makes sense that everything that comes under that column are all names. True or false?
True.
True.
Okay,
True.
so we can have names, we can have maybe gender here. Now if you have something like names, let's say we have John. Don't mind my handwriting. These digital pens can be funny sometimes. Let's say, for instance, we have John. We have. Let me use myself as an example for the first time. Matthew. We have. See, amount of names, guys. All your
Adebayo.
names are in my head. Bayo.
Sola. Habibat.
Habibat. Okay, thanks. I think this works. All right. So let's say we have John, Matthew, Bayo, Habibat. Gender, we have male, right? Female,
No, Bayo
and
is a male. Abiba is a female.
Bayo is a
really?
male.
Okay, well, Habibat is a female. This see, you guys should not be partial like this now.
Victoria.
Okay, Victoria. Okay, Vicky. All right. All right. So we have female. Well, females. One more female is here. Her name is question mark. All right. So let's assume that we have this. Okay, John, Matthew, Bayo, Habibat, Vicky, and all of that. So it makes sense. This is a bit of structure. This place we have structure. So if for instance we want to get all the names now, we just have to go to the column where names are, right? And then we can retrieve all the names. If we want to retrieve all the gender, we can retrieve the gender. Now this is the second thing that makes relational database make sense. That if you pull a line across like this, making it giving us rows now, it totally makes sense that this male here, this gender here, belongs to John. This gender here belongs to Matthew. This gender here belongs to Bayo, Habibat, Vicky. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? You won't come and translate this gender here as belonging to Vicky, would you?
No.
Because there's already structure to this. So every detail that we are having in each of these rows are already interconnected with this entity called John. So even if we have age here, carefully pull this up. So even if we have age here and we have 22, 26, 16, and all of that, it totally makes sense that these ages are related to the same person. This is the reason why it's called relational database. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we have Habibat here. Habibat, 20. Is Habibat in this class? We are supposed to have one Habibat too. At least I know of one.
Yes, I've got in this class.
Aha, nice. Welcome. All right, so we have Vicky, let's put it 22 here, and the mystery person. Now, this totally makes sense. So this is called relational database. Okay, so because every columns are all interrelated, like the data in every column, like this from top to down, are all interrelated in the sense of they're all the same categories of data. So in these names here, we have the category of data that we have here are all names. In gender, category of data that we have are all gender. In other age, the category of data that we have here are all ages. Okay, so when we now talk about these now, how they are related row wise is that John is a male and is 22 years old. Matthew is a male and is 26. Habibat is a female and she's 27. Okay, so you can see how all of these are interconnected row wise and also column wise. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why it's called in relational database. Now let me make this a bit interesting. Let's assume now that every one of these people now all have, let's say, for instance, they are all working in a company. Okay, so they have employee number. So their employee number here is 001, 002, 003. So every time you hear 001, we are referring to John. 004, 005. Okay, so these are all their employee data. These are all their names. Now let's say in this company now we have all of these people as staff working in the company, and these are their names, gender, and their age. Then we now have another table called attendance. Okay, now in this attendance, what would usually the table will look like this: employee number, then we now have time in, then we now also have what? Time out. Please don't mind my handwriting. I hope you can see this. So we have time in,
Yes, sir.
time out. So we have under here, when we have 001, time in 8 p.m. and then time out 4 p.m. And then we have 001 again, time in 9 p.m., 9 a.m. rather, and then time out we have 4 p.m. And then we have 001 again. What does this tell you looking at this data now? What does this tell you? One person, talk to me.
Is the data
Okay.
related
Hello,
to
sir.
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, what
Who is
is
speaking?
between not
Abibat?
001?
Okay, let's take it one after the other. Habiba, talk to me.
Okay, what this table is actually saying is John left resume 8 o'clock and he signed out. Your time out, please. And he signed
And you
out
signed out
at
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
He's
Okay,
still saying John resume 9 o'clock, sign out
okay,
4 p.m.
all right. Now,
Because the employee has not two employee can have the same ID. So we are still talking about John here.
okay, now this explanation that you just gave totally makes sense because these two tables now, we said these are staff of a company and these are their attendants. Okay, so it means they are related. So instead of to write 001, John, male, 22 years old, time in 8 p.m., time out 4 p.m., and then coming back to write John, male, 22 years old, time in, time out, then John, male, 22 years old, which is a lot of repetition for John. Rather, we just have that 001. So much that at the end of the day, using this column called employee number, right, or employee ID, we can create a relationship. We can see a direct relationship, okay, between this table like this and this table. Are we together? So this is the concept of
Yes, sir.
structured data, relational database. Now,
Okay,
that's why
sir.
it's called relational database. Now, there are some systems that are used to manage this relational database, such as Microsoft SQL Server, right? That's SSMS. We have MySQL, like we have here. We have Oracle SQL. We also have PostgreSQL and all of that. So all of those are different systems that we can use to manage relational databases. Wealth, you want to ask me a question?
Okay, Alexa.
Yes, I want to say
Present,
something.
I'm with you. Wealth, I'm listening.
Okay, I want to say something. Can Abibat please turn off her video and then mute herself? It's distracting to watch her.
Okay,
Okay, thank
sorry,
you
I
very
didn't know
much.
it. Oh,
All right, thank you very much. Okay, thanks a lot for that, Wealth. All right, Habiba, thanks for your contribution too. All right, let's can we make progress from relational database now?
Yes, please.
All right,
Yes.
thank you. Now, in the case of non-relational database, it's not like this. Where in the case of non-relational database, um we're not talking tables anymore. In the case of non-relational database, for instance, let me give you an example of what big data is. Right now, big data. You see that we had big data among non-relational database. Now, big data comprises of, let me say, for instance, just imagine, close your eyes for one moment and imagine if you were dealing with Instagram database. Okay, now in Instagram database, we'll be having what? We'll be having usernames of people. Okay, we'll be having posts, right? We'll be having um, stories. We'll be having reels. What
Like,
else are we going to be having? Likes, comments.
Live videos.
What?
I'm dozing off.
Impressions.
We'll be having calls because Instagram also make calls. We'll be having messages.
Reactions.
Do you understand? We'll be having reactions. We'll be having forwards. We'll be having backward shares, blah blah blah, copy links. We'll be having all manner of things. Now, if you're dealing with Instagram now, under posts, stories, and reels, we'll be having things like pictures, okay, videos, audios or songs, right? And all of that. Under calls, we'll be having audio. Under messages, we'll be having text. We'll just be having every kind of data, numbers, pictures, videos, everything all put together into one place. Okay. Now we're dealing with big data. Now, it does not allow us to have structure. Storing this kind of data now does not allow us to have like real-time structure like the way we have with structured tables like this. Okay, so that's the reason why they're called non-relational database. There's a way data is stored in the same context, do you get? But it's not stored like the way it's stored here with the same kind of structure. Are we together? So they are called non-relational database. So the kind of what was I going to say? The kind of systems or tools that we use to manage these are different from the ones that we use to manage that of relational database. That's the reason why we have MongoDB, Dynamo, Hadoop, Big Data, and all of that under non-relational database. But for relational database, we have Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, and Postgre. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
yes, sir.
All right. Well, you want to say something, Thomas? All right. Well, that's old hand. Thomas, Aderonke.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening, Aderonke.
Okay, so under the big data for Instagram, that I use Instagram as an example.
Yes.
You said they are non-relational data, but I didn't quite get the reason why you said so. That the reason why they are non-relational data.
Okay.
Did you understand
All
my
right. So
question?
you said
Did you understand my question?
if I answered your question in the video, why they are non-relational?
Elisa?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello.
She's saying, did you understand her question?
Yes, I understand
Hello?
that question. Okay, I understand your question, Aderonke. Aderonke, okay.
Okay,
I,
sir, I can hear you
I'm not
now.
sure she can even hear me.
I
Okay.
can hear you now.
All right. So I understand your question. You say you don't understand why the reason I gave for why it's non-relational. Okay. All right. So let me explain something. Let me go back to this and explain something. All right. Back to our board. So we're saying that about social media, the way data comes, unlike relational database where we strictly have records, a lot of times majority of what we have are records. Records could be text like John, Matthew, male, female. They could be numbers like age, price, blah blah blah. Basically they're like written records. You get when we start dealing with things like big data, what we start dealing with is not just text or numbers or recorded data that could be manually recorded. We're talking about things that we are beginning to deal with files also. Okay, files like pictures, videos, audios. Do you understand? We have things like reactions being recorded. We
Okay.
have things like forwards. We have things like links that are attached to each of those videos. Do you understand? People say click on the caption or click on the link below and all of that. So all of those things put together into one place would not allow for a structural arrangement like the way we have here. It won't be efficient. Structural
Okay.
arrangement in the sense of arranging them in a tabular manner. Do you get? It won't,
Oh,
like social media
yes.
does not permit for that kind of storage, except if you are storing a particular dimension of social media like that. All right. So usually, how social media, Instagram, Facebook, and the rest of them store their data, they deal with it as big data, because big data has a few qualities. One of the qualities is the speed at which data comes in. Okay. So this speed or velocity. Now imagine how many people, over 2 billion, I think more than 2 billion people use Facebook every day actively, posting things, posting pictures, posting their products, posting whatever, posting stories, and all of that. So you can see that that's a lot of velocity. Are you with me? Now,
Yes, sir.
that kind of velocity, other than the velocity, we have large volume of data coming in. Other than the volume, we have varieties of data. So these varieties now, is that how we spell varieties? Varieties, example of these varieties could be that the data can come in as text, like the way we said earlier, text. It could come in as audio, either music or stuff. It could audio zero. Okay. Other audio, sometimes it could come in as videos. Other times it could come in as VN, like voice notes. Are we together? Other times, likes, shares, impressions, blah, blah, blah. These are all different varieties of data, all coming into one database. So the kind of database that this kind of companies use to manage their data effectively is not a relational database. Usually, they use a non-relational database to effectively manage their data. I hope you get that, sure.
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
You're welcome. Okay. All right, let's make progress from here. So
Please
relational
accept
database
some
example.
people that
Yes.
are,
Who is that, please?
please accept some people, they are messaging on group that they need.
Yeah, sorry. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, let's get back to work. So these are examples of relational database systems, and these are examples of non-relational database systems. Please, who is that? Kindly mute your audio, please. Please kindly mute your audio. Thank you for your cooperation. Okay, so other than the these, So we said we have SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL. But in this case, in this class, we'll be learning to use MySQL. But there's something that is very interesting that you should know. Whether you are using Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle SQL, MySQL database, or you're using PostgreSQL, they all run on one programming language. And that programming language is structured query language, which is SQL, right? That's SQL. So SQL simply stands for structured query language. Are we together? And it can be called SQL. Are we together? So it doesn't. That's to say that Microsoft does not run it. Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. That's the name of the application actually. Microsoft SQL Server Management, SQL Server Management Database or whatever does not run on a different language, programming language than MySQL. Do you understand? They all run. All of them are language, and it's a programming language that is for database, and that programming language is called SQL. So if you're learning how to use SQL on MySQL database right now, it's the same knowledge you're going to use when you're dealing with a Microsoft SQL. Do you get SQL application or database? There might be one or two differences. Excuse me. There might be a few differences, but the differences are not very large. Are we together? Like a lot of times, majority of the codes I'll be writing here, you can use it for either PostgreSQL or Oracle or Microsoft SQL. Is that clear? So that simply goes to say that at the end of this training, you can, if someone says, "Oh, what we use in our company is Microsoft SQL," if you are tech savvy, you should be able to say, "No, I can also do it." Do you understand? Because it's still SQL that is running there. So it's the same knowledge you're having here that you can apply there. So what we'll be learning in this class is we'll be learning SQL, but on what the database that we'll be using to learn SQL, which is SQL now, is MySQL database, which is MySQL, like we advertised. All right. So next up, we have roles in database. Now, people who have this skill can opt in for career in database administration. Okay, so you can become a database administrator. You have this skill. You can also opt in for database developer as a skill. You can also opt in for database analyst. You can opt in for database engineer. You can opt in to be a data scientist. Okay, so whichever of these career paths you want to take after you learn this skill, you can totally opt in for that. But the focus here that we'll be looking at in this class is for data analysis, and it's going to be a lot of data analysis we'll be talking about here, which revolves around this third row here. Okay. Next off, let's talk about data analysis. Data analysis. Now I'm going to allow from the new people, what do you understand when you hear the term data analysis? Data analysis. Paul Adele, you have something for me?
Yeah, I think from my own understanding, data analysis has to do with how do you interpret a data that has been given to you. I think that's my own understanding on it.
Interesting. Big man. Okay,
Okay.
Wahid,
Hello,
talk
sir.
to me. Yes, ma'am. Who is that? Abibat.
Okay, data analysis to me is analyzing of data and
Deep.
uh, and interpreting it either through visual means and making decision from it.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. We have process of gathering, cleaning, and manipulating data to gain valuable
Yes.
insight. That's coming from Wurola. From Steven, we have data analysis is the arrangement or manipulation of data to produce information. We have from Mohammed SN, giving meaning to data. That's deep. Sounds like a motto of a company, of a data analysis company, giving meaning to your data. Nice. Adekunle Ahmed, we have data analysis is the act of arranging information accordingly. And then we also have from Vincent, data analysis is the process of systematically applying statistical and or logical techniques to describe and illustrate, condense and recap. I'm already tired of reading. and evaluate data. Thank you very much, Vincent. And then we have transforming and organizing data, all the way from Peter Babatunde, deriving information from data by certain systematic arrangement. Nice. I think I like that. Wurola Rachel. Okay, Rachel, your name is already registering in my head. Okay, as a data analyst, you must be able to gain insights and also to interpret data and that. As a data analyst, you must be able to gain insight and also interpret your data so that it can be easily understood by people that aren't familiar with it, with that are not familiar with data analysis. Okay, all right, that makes sense. Transforming data to information and insight. Okay, can we? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. If I read this last one now from Ademola, from Stella, I'm not reading anymore. Okay, data analysis is the process of analyzing large data and deriving insights from data. Data analysis involves data collection, interpretation, and insight derivation. Thank you, Stella, Emmanuel, Ademola, and Oluwapelumi. Thank you very much, every one of you. Okay, so let's get back to class. I see that a lot of us have like insight to what data is or what data analysis is, because we said we're going to learn fundamental SQL or fundamental MySQL for data analysis. Okay, so since we have an insight to what data analysis is, let's just maybe talk about a few things. Technical job role of a data analyst. First thing, a data analyst gets to collect data from a database. Are we together? So his first responsibility is to collect data from a database. His second responsibility is to transform data for analysis. So we have data transformation, data collection, data transformation. We have data modeling, to model data. We have analyzing and visualizing data, which is also a role, a technical responsibility of a data analyst. And then we have reporting data and making recommendations. Those are all responsibility of a data analyst. So a data analyst is one who is able to connect to a database and retrieve the exact data that he needs to answer the questions that the company is asking, transform this data. By transforming, I mean preparing this data for analysis, and where necessary, modeling this data or creating relationships like the way we saw between remember the table that we had between employees and their attendants, right? Now that's where what we did there is data modeling, creating a relationship between the attendance table and the employees table using that employee number 001 to know that 001 is Mr. John, who is a male and 22 years old. Okay, so that's data. That's a bit of what data modeling is about. Okay, so we get to learn to transform data or prepare data, model data as data analysts, and then we get to also analyze and visualize our findings. Analyzing simply means finding patterns within our data or finding answers from our data. And then visualizing is putting that our answer or pattern that we found in a chart that totally explains the story to the stakeholders. Okay. So next we have reporting the same findings through visuals or dashboards, like we popularly call them, through visual means to stakeholders, and then being able to make recommendations based on your findings in those data. Now, these recommendations that you've made now, the company cannot decide to make decisions, data-driven decisions as they are called, and then eventually, hopefully, make more money from it. So these are technical job responsibilities of data analysts. Now, for anybody to call himself a data analyst, like a fully blown or a full stack data analyst, he must know one of these skills. First off, he must know how to use spreadsheet applications. Spreadsheet applications will be Microsoft Excel. Secondly, he must know how to use one or two visualization tools. Visualization, so example of those could be Microsoft Power BI or Microsoft, not Microsoft this time around, or Tableau. Tableau belongs to Salesforce, if I remember correctly. Okay, so you must know how to, as a data analyst, you must know how to use a spreadsheet application like Microsoft Excel, Google Sheets, and all of that. Use one visualization tool like Power BI, Tableau, Looker, and also you must know how to, you must have one database skill, which is SQL. Okay, so you must know how to interact with database, and then lastly, I'm going to add this because of the big data, you must also have one programming skill, and that programming skill could be in Python programming language or in R as a programming language. In our company, we have a course that deals with all of these tools that you're seeing, like this: Microsoft Excel, Power BI, Tableau, SQL, Python, and R. That course is like a 6 month course. It's called Immersive Data Analysis. So you're learning all of this. Okay. So these are the tools that anyone who says they're a data analyst should have for them to be totally rounded as a data analyst. It doesn't mean you always use all of them, because I know data analysts working in big company and the only thing they use is Excel. But if you now, who is not a data analyst yet, is about to enter into that big company, I'm not sure you're going to tell them that excuse me, sir, but I know how to use Excel. So employ me as a data analyst and be paying me 600K. They're just going to look at you and shake their head and say, you don't have any experience, and the only thing you know is Excel, and you want to come into this company. You must be able to like impress them, saying that, oh, Microsoft Excel, oh, I do very well with Microsoft Excel, Power BI, these are my projects in Power BI. Yes, I understand SQL, sir. Python programming, I use Python programming to run machine learning algorithms. Now we are talking about you entering into a company. So while you may not be using every one of them, because of the competitive edge that you might need to enter into the industry, you should know as much of these as possible, as much of these tools as possible. Okay, so we have that there. So these are technical role of a data analyst, or these are the things that a data analyst should do. There are more things based on companies, but this is like the structured system of work for a data analyst. All right, salary of a data analyst. You know that right now, like this, every one of us now we are looking at doing the jackpot thing. So I'm not going to give you Nigerian salaries, because Nigeria, we have like 90% of the companies or 95% of the companies in Nigeria are unstructured. So you see, they want data analyst that knows that knows Microsoft Power BI and can use Tableau at the same time, can use Python and R at the same time. They're looking for somebody that knows Microsoft Excel and Power BI. They're looking for somebody that knows SAS. Like, you just see a lot of job requirement when you go to LinkedIn from some of these companies, and at the end of the day, they will still be asking you that somebody who knows how to multitask and work under pressure. They'll still be asking you for all of those. Then go and check salary: 70,000, 80,000, 90,000, 100,000. Well, all of those shall, for a starter, it's not a bad place to start from in Nigeria, right? But those things, like if you look at the requirement, in fact, they can even tell you for entry level that you need 4 years of experience for entry level position to come and earn 120K. Totally unnecessary. But outside of the country, in more structured arena, the value of a data analyst, of his skill to an office, is worth from starting from $73,000 down to 140K. Of course, by the time you're getting to 140K, you must have had a lot of experience and be working in a senior role outside of the country. But usually, if you are getting a job as a data analyst, your starting salary annually, oh please, this is not monthly salary, your annual salary should be somewhere around $73,000 as an average, down to, last I checked, these are the ranges for data analyst salary. Okay, next off, we have our company here, Educator. So Educator, like we said earlier, Educator is a company that trains on things like data analysis, data sciences, business intelligence analysis. We have cybersecurity trainings, cloud computing, machine learning and artificial intelligence. We have robotics and automation, and also graphics design. And this is just one of our training, and this training that you're getting right now for free is a subset of our data analyst training. Okay, so in our data analyst training, we train on Microsoft Excel, Power BI, SQL, and Python. Okay, so you can either choose Python or R. So we train on those in our data analysis program. And we said in our immersive program, we train on all of those things we mentioned earlier. But we are giving a portion of our data analysis training for free to you, which is learning MySQL for data analysis. All right, so we have this. For those of you who are here and have not followed us on our IG handle or Facebook handle, please just kindly do us a favor, go to IG and just check for Educator NG and give us a follow. Thank you very much, and God bless. If you're going to Facebook, it's still Educator NG. If you go to LinkedIn, is still educator ng. Okay, thank you, everyone. Do we have any question before we go into class properly now? Any question on what database is or data, whatever? If you have personal questions about internships and all of that, you can maybe drop a message in the group, or you can chat to the admin up concerning those, right? If you have personal decision, I won't leave class to attend to those right now. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks. Y'all are doing well. Questions? Thomas. Bukola, thank you.
Yeah,
Class rep.
please, can you go back to that slide where you have data analysis and the other subset?
Okay. You have a question from that?
I just want to see.
This?
No, not that one. The next one.
This
Okay,
one?
just this one.
Okay. Okay.
No, I just want to see something. Sorry.
Don't worry, I'll share this with you on the group. I'll share this presentation with you on the group.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Please, that modeling data or data modeling.
Yes, please.
Can you please explain that again?
Okay, data modeling. Let me show you. Do you remember this table? Can you see this table?
Yes.
Okay. So do you see this line walking down from this employee number down to this employee?
Yes, sir.
Down to this employee number here on this table. Now these are two different tables. Imagine that you have, let's just imagine, for instance, that you have an Excel sheet called attendance and it's separate from the other Excel sheet where everybody's name is for employees. Okay, so you are now checking on attendance and you're now wondering, who is this person? Okay, who is this person that is coming 1 hour late every day? First time he comes around 8 o'clock. Second time you are HR, you are the HR in the company. First day he comes 8 o'clock. Okay, this is fine. Second day he comes 9 o'clock. Third day he comes 10 o'clock. Fourth day he comes 11 o'clock. If you leave that guy, one day he will come around 5 p.m. and close by 4 p.m. If you leave him to continue like that. Okay, so you're now wondering, who is this person? We need to, who is 001 in this place? Now, for you to get that information on who 001 is, you need to make reference to this table. Okay, for you to get who 001 is, there's one way to do it. One way to do it is to manually open the other Excel file that has everybody's information and go and check on 001. Another way to do it is that you could create a relationship between these two Excel files, so much that every time you need to check who 001 is, you don't need to manually go and be checking or scrolling through all the rows to look for 001. You can directly get the information about this person right from this table on this table without switching back and forth. Okay, so it's called that skill of creating relationships between table, multiple different tables, creating relationship and making them into one table is called modeling. Okay, so yeah, that's what we mean by data modeling, and every data analyst should have that skill, the skill of data modeling. Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Hopefully, maybe somewhere around next year. Okay. Let me not start talking about next year already. Before
Thank you.
class rep will hold me, because I know class rep now. If I say we are going to do this now, she will not allow me rest. Mrs. Bukola,
I'm with you, sir.
I know you're with me. You're waiting for me to say something so that you hold me. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. So you said? Please don't tell me I'm not recording. Okay, I'm recording. All right, let me see. Who are those in the queue? All right, we have people. Thomas, is this old hand or new hand? Blessing.
So, sir, first of all, I will say, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I'm with you, Blessing.
Yeah, first of all, I would say thank you for so much for this opportunity. And also, mine is much more likely to be a suggestion. Like, I just wanted to suggest that when we are having classes, is it possible like the questions to come like when you are done? Like for it not to be interrupting the session, so we can have a seamless, lecture and all. And again, secondly, I don't know what is the duration of our class. Like, is it going to be 2 hours from 10 to 11, from 9 to 11 or so? That's just my two questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Blessing. Thank you. Someone else with who is the second person? Thomas. Thomas, is that old hand? Ronke.
I just want to say something to the person that said, can we please be asking questions after the class? Sometimes, if we don't ask questions, there's no way we can move on with it because we are still lacking behind. So I feel like that way it won't work. Sorry, that's just my
Okay.
opinion.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Ronke. I don't think Thomas has anything to say. Thomas, do you want to say something? A question or something before? Burol, are you talking? Do you have some a question different from what is already being said, or you want to also comment on this?
Yeah, I want to comment on the question stuff. I feel like the question this thing is actually making the class more interesting. So
Okay, so thank you very much. First fish, before because I just want to tidy up this and then we can get back to class again. First fish.
All right. I believe question cannot be left out during the teaching or lecturing period because there are some people that will be stuck in one place or the other, and then the question cannot be piled up till the end of the class. That means such people will be lagging behind while others are moving ahead. So it is better for us to carry them along and allow them to ask their own questions before moving on.
Yeah. All right. I think we already have. Please, Pascal, if it's concerning the same thing we're talking about, maybe and Paul, just kindly drop your hands because I won't take any on this one again, except if it's a question that you want to ask separate from this. And if it's a question, you can ask Pascal.
Okay, sir, it's not like it's a question, but a suggestion to you. Suggestion should be maybe there are times like intermittently during the lectures, you give room for question for each session. So let's say it talks about relational and non-relational databases, you could just stop and say, is there anybody who has question relating
Okay.
to these parts? So that way people don't. So that way
All
there
right.
can be
So
like a meeting line between those that find questions. Yeah, that's it.
okay, so on this question and answer series, let's just call it a close there so that we don't because if I know that if I open it further, a lot of people are still going to have things to say about it. All right, thank you all for your suggestion. Thank you, Pascal, too, for that suggestion. Um, Classes are max 2 hours. We can stop before 2 hours, but whenever you're coming for class, be ready for 2 hours, okay? 9 to 11. It allows us to deal with whatever we are dealing with like thoroughly, okay? So please, when you're coming to for class, prepare for just set your mind for 2 hours. We may end before 2 hours depending on what we have to cover for the day. We may but we will not exceed that 2 hours. Okay, so that's the first thing. Secondly, concerning questions and all of that, I've been doing I've been doing this for a while. If I say this now, I mean instructing. Okay, so there was a point in time we had to create a package for one-on-one trainings. One-on-one trainings because we got to understand that these are data-driven decisions. Actually, we got to understand that people understand things separately, like at different pace. So for some of you that are tech savvy, some of you that are more maybe have one or two experience, maybe in the corporate world, when we are talking about this thing, it might totally make sense to you. And it's like, okay, let's go to the next thing immediately. Just let's get to the code. For some other people that are coming into this place, like they are total beginners and they don't even know jack about anything. And at the end of the day, you might just carry the class, you might just keep going. Okay, like there was this scenario where we were training. I was the one actually training in that case, and I kept asking any question, and the person that was answering no sir, no sir, no sir was somebody who had experience working as a data analyst. Okay, so he already had experience. He was just there in the class, just having fun. Okay, meanwhile, the main people that we needed to reach out to, they were all quiet. They were intimidated because they felt that because somebody saying no sir, no sir, no sir, they didn't want to just come out and say, sir, I don't understand, or sir, I'm not following, and all of that. So I kept talking at the pace of this one person who was giving me that feedback of continue, I understand, I get it, sir, continue, and all of that. And at the end of the class, when I was going to start asking people questions individually, like as a way of interacting, like, oh, what did we say about this? What did we say about that? I realized that majority of the class didn't understand. They were not following in that pace that I was giving to. This is the reason why we adopted the strategy of maybe when we take a session, like when we take it a step, we ask, do you understand? Okay, does anyone have questions? Then we take it a step again. That process, I admit, can be very, very slow. Okay, so this is how it works. For those of you who are ahead, we may have to drag you back a bit. Maybe things can be slow for you because of those people who we are trying to pull from behind. We understand that it's not at the end of the day, it's not everybody that will get it, but we are trying to carry as much people as possible. It will get to a place where they will not enter into the same boat with you, and then everything can now be fast. I might, based on this observation, try to moderate the intervals in which I take questions, right? Maybe moderate the intervals so that we take questions like maybe 3 times during the session, maybe max 3 times or so and stuff. But other than that, we can't just leave the questions till the end, because at the end of the class, people may have already forgotten their question, or someone can just ask one question that will get us back to the beginning of the class again, and that can be energy draining for any instructor. Like maybe getting to the end of class and we are saying, what's your question? And then you're like, sir, what is a database? You've been saying database since I finished the whole presentation. And somebody, as in, I was talking about artificial intelligence. I finished the whole presentation, and then I'm asking people, sir, any question? And somebody stood up and said, sir, we don't understand what you mean by bots or AI. But and that was a 15 minutes presentation. That's when I started explaining, oh, bot simply means robot. So when you hear me say bot, I mean robot. When you hear me say AI, I mean artificial intelligence. So sometimes it can be like that. That's the reason why we adopt this strategy. It's efficient, but it's very slow. So kindly exercise patience with us, please, everyone. Thanks. Okay, so can we just get to Workbench now? Let's start talking about SQL and a few codes in SQL before we end class today. Tomorrow we are also having a class at 9 p.m. again, the same time. So our classes are Saturdays and Sundays, 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays, 9 p.m. Okay, every class is going to be held here on Meet for the main at the moment. We are not changing platform for now. Okay, so let's get back to Workbench. All right. So this is Workbench. Now, Workbench is an application. First off, please let me just do this survey. Please, honestly, if you have experience with SQL, okay, if you have experience with SQL, let me just say something. Let me see. How many of you have experience with SQL? Okay, so we have about 2 people with experience in SQL. 3. Okay, you can lower your hands now. If you don't have any experience with SQL, please raise your hand. Ah. Ah. All right, no kidding, no kidding. All right. Um, okay, that's fine. That's fine. You can drop your hands now. Mhm. All right. And people are still raising hand though. Please drop your hands now. Thank you. All right. So majority of the people that we have here don't have any experience with SQL. So permit me to be a bit, for those of you who have some experience, but permit me to be unnecessarily detailed. Okay. So first off, this is what we have here. We have MySQL. Now let me pull off something for you quickly. I call this being unnecessarily detailed, but if you get this, a lot of things will be easier for you to understand. Okay, so we have this. We have your laptop device. Call this your laptop device or your device. Let's just call it our devices. Okay, here we have cloud. This could be a website, application, blah blah blah, app that is connected to the internet or website. So it's called cloud. And then here we have databases. Okay, so you use your device through your applications and upload data. Okay, these devices or this application eventually store all of these devices on all these everything, all your data, okay, that you're uploading and all of that on a database. Are we together? Now, let's say for instance, WhatsApp chat. Now we have a WhatsApp group, okay? So who is this? Wealth. Okay, Wealth picks up her WhatsApp this thing and go on WhatsApp, okay? And then she asks, what time is class today? Okay, and then the moment she asks that question, for me to get this question, since this is Wealth, I'm somewhere around here on her with my own device. Okay, all right. So Wealth goes to WhatsApp, ask a question on what time is class. This question, this directly goes to a database and is stored in a database. Myself too, I also interact with my WhatsApp or my cloud application, my own WhatsApp application on this end here, okay, and access the same database, okay, and then I'm able to see exactly what Wealth posted. Now, in this place now, this database, what we are calling a database now, right, is a computer. Is a computer that you are not seeing, I'm not seeing, because you are not the one who owns the computer. On one hand, you have your computer. On the other hand, I have my computer. Okay, so we are interacting through an application. But what we are doing is that we are all searching things from one basket or one computer. This computer is also called a server. Okay, are we together? This computer is called a server. So everybody here has their devices individually. We all have our applications. And if you send things through your application posts it into your server, into the server. If I send things, if I go to through my application, I'm able to see exactly what's on the server. And I'm also able to post things into that server. And then maybe if I now post that class is 9 p.m., this is me uploading information into the server. So where that information is now downloaded through her own application, and that is also brought back to her phone for her to be able to see what I posted. So it's a lot of back and forth between devices, applications to a single database called a server. Are we all together? Now, this server, you can see that from the types of the companies that we have for relational database. Now, we have companies like Microsoft doing all of this server business. We have Microsoft, we have Oracle, we have IBM. Okay, so all of these are companies that does server business. Cisco. Let me not even forget these guys. Cisco, they are very big on servers too. Cisco, Microsoft, Oracle, these are the big guys. I think Amazon to just enter too with AWS, Amazon Web Services or something. So all of these guys, these are big guys that deal with database business. So what these guys do is they have a computer. Imagine loads of computers that have big amount of memory. Okay, so they rent out a portion of this computer memory, okay, to different kinds of companies. So let's imagine now that WhatsApp is hosted on maybe Microsoft server. Okay, so Microsoft is the company that is hosting WhatsApp data and all their company data, blah blah blah, and all of that. What that simply means is that this computer belongs to Microsoft, but it was rented to WhatsApp as a company so that everybody who is using WhatsApp can interact with that same computer. Now, that portion of that computer that was rented out to WhatsApp now becomes an instance. Does this illustration make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It
sir.
makes
Yes,
sense,
it
right?
does.
Thank you very much. So that portion now becomes what we call an instance. That portion that belongs to WhatsApp. So it's now called a WhatsApp instance. So how this works is this: the same way where we all have WhatsApp group, isn't it? Let's use our group now to do example. For instance, we have data analysis group, blah blah blah, and all of that. And that data analysis group, what that group simply means is that it's just one instance, okay, where we have for instance now I think the current group name is fundamental SQL for data analysis. Okay, that's the name of the group right now. So we have fundamental SQL for data analysis and we have over 200 people in the group, and these 200 people can post things into this instance or into this server and everybody else can see it. So whatever I post on that group, everybody can read it. Whatever you post, everybody can read it. Are we together? But it's everyone who has gotten through the link access into this. Now, the moment you come into Workbench, the first thing that you're going to find, this is the reason why I'm explaining this. The first thing you're going to find is what? An instance also. Are we together? So this instance now is just a protocol of connection. Let me close this. Let's edit this connection. This instance is the same thing like saying if this is like this instance is the same thing as saying a portion of the database or the database management system or the server that is dedicated to this company. Do you understand? So whatever company you're dealing with, they will have their own instance where they have the login details for, because you cannot just jump in and access the data inside an instance if you don't. For instance, there's nobody who is on that group currently that did not join using that WhatsApp group link. Okay, so if you don't have the link, would you have access to the WhatsApp group or the information that is there? No, you wouldn't. Are we together? Feedback, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, you are
Awesome,
Yes,
getting
yeah.
awesome.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
you.
We can hear you.
okay, great, great. So if you didn't have the link, okay, which is the credentials or which gives you access to the group now, you will not be on the group and you'll not be able to see anything that is happening on the group. In the same way too, every time that you need to connect to a server, you need to also have what is called credentials. Credentials means that these are the information, like the login information. For instance, your account on Facebook now, you have your username and your password, isn't it? With your username and password, you can log in from any device and access the same thing in the account. Anybody who has your username and password is able to access your account and make whatever changes they want to do. We call them hackers. They can hack your account and get whatever is on the account. In the same way, too, when you're dealing with SQL servers and all of that, and you're working in a company, that company will first of all, before it give you access to their database, by giving you the credentials, the login information for that database. Login information would most likely include host name, port numbers, username, and password. Okay, so if for instance now I'm working for educator, for instance now, or I want to wrangle educators data or maybe get access to educators database and pick up things there, maybe access data to analyze, for instance now, I would first of all have to come to create a new instance. So we have my SQL connection. Clicking on this plus button here will allow me to create a new instance. Now this instance now I can name it after educator. Okay, so we have educator ng there now. So now in this host name, port number, blah blah blah, all of this will have to be provided now by educator, because this is a secret for them. They would not just keep it as imagine. Just imagine Zenith Bank putting their login information into their database online. Do you know what will happen in less than 1 hour? A lot of us are receiving things like emails that we did not subscribe for. We are receiving SMS
One
from
hour
people
is too
telling
much,
us that
sir.
1 hour is too much, obviously. So a lot of people, like we have people now, a lot of us, don't we receive WhatsApp message or text message telling us, congratulations, you have passed our interview, you can work
Plenty
from
work.
home and earn 150K monthly. And so all of those things that you're saying, all those text messages that you're saying, it means that somebody else has gotten access to a database where as a legal a database that you legally gave your information to. So they've removed all the phone numbers and now they can text you to scam you. So inform data is not, it's called data privacy protection or data protection and all of that. So you will not just access data anywhere like that. except if that company gives you the access. So the access they need to give you, all the credentials they need to give you after they've employed you and have trusted that you are here to stay and they can rely on you. That's when they give you access to that. And even at that, a lot of company, once they give you access to that, whatever you do on that, they even restrict what you can do. Whatever you do, they know. So if, for instance, now you're supposed to pull out like maybe 1,000 rows of data, and you go and pull out 5,000, wahala day simply means that you are trying to steal data to go and sell, because buying and selling of data is a very big market. Buying and selling. Imagine you have the phone number of all the governors of Nigeria. Do you know how much you can sell? 36 governors. Do you know how much you can sell it for? Just 36 phone numbers. I'm just saying. Okay, so buying and selling of data is a very big market on its own. So people steal data legally to go and sell it. And I'm not advising that anybody does that, because it's against the law. So don't do it. All right. So in that case, you will need host name, port number, and then the username, and also password to log in to that same database. By the time you're done inserting those information now, you can test the connection. If the connection, this is me and my own password now. Okay, successfully made connection. Once you successfully made that connection, you can click on OK. That's fine. Okay. Now, this is the reason why we have this whole connection thing and all of that. Like the reason why it's not as difficult to create all of these connections is because here, this server that we installed this server not elsewhere. We installed this server on our PC. So this our PC now is our server. So it's called localhost. Can you see this? That you can see that the host name is localhost. Okay, so it's not hosted elsewhere on cloud. It's not hosted with Microsoft. Whatever database we have currently, this application is not hosted elsewhere. So we are not trying to connect to another database elsewhere. What we are connecting to is the database that has already been installed on our system. So it's called localhost. So in this case here, we can test connection, insert password, and then click on OK, and that should open for us. So once you've been able to create an instance for that company, just like the way I just did now for Educator, I can click on Open, and here we have my SQL Workbench. Now this is the application within which we will now be working. Okay, all right. Do you have questions from these aspects? Progress.
Please, how did you get here? We are stranded. We can't open the way you are opening.
You're stranded. Please don't be stranded, in Jesus' name. Okay, so you set the password now when you were installing, didn't you? It's the same password when you were installing. Mr. Godswill, question, sir. Talk to me, sir. Godswill. Hello, Mr. Godswill. Who is AB? First fish, mute your audio.
Yes, sir. Can you come again with that process of creating that thing?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And if wealth, is that the same question you have? If it's the same question, please kindly just drop your hand. Who is AB? If they've already asked a question, just drop your hand. Mr. Godswill, are you with me? Okay. Old hand. All right, let's get back to what we did again. So what we did with creating that instance was, first thing we did was that we clicked on the plus button, okay, to add a new instance. We gave the connection a name. In this case, I gave it educator ng. Okay, so let's give this MySQL class connection name now. Okay, so next thing we did, I didn't change any of this because these are by default the credentials for the local host. So I didn't change anything. Okay, all of this host name, port number, root, I didn't change anything. These are default credentials for your local host. But what I said is, if you need to deal with a company's data, they will give you these credentials. Did we get that? They will give you the host name, they'll give you the port number, they'll give you the root, the username. Okay, the company will provide that. but I'm not changing anything here. These are all default information. So once you've inserted the host name according to what the company has given, and they've given you the port number and the username, okay, you can go ahead to test your connection. In testing your connection now, you can insert the password that they have given to you. But in this case, the password you'll be using is the same password that you use when you are installing MySQL. Every one of us set up password, right? So is that same
Yes.
password you are going to use now, and then you are going to click on OK. You can see that we successfully made the MySQL connection. Okay, then we can click on OK. Now we have that instance now that we just created called MySQL class. Okay, so for us to open this instance now, all we need to do is to just click on it. Bah, finish. Now we are here in um, our MySQL class. That's what I did.
But when I was creating my own, they didn't ask me for password. When I installed
If you,
my
if
SQL
you
workbench,
when you install your Workbench, you didn't create password.
they didn't ask me for password.
Lucky you then. But now that you're creating an instance, are they asking you for password? Now that you're creating an instance, are you being asked for password? All right, we lost that one there.
Let me try it and see. Let me try it, sir.
Okay, that's fine. All right. So if you are here, let me see who is trying to join class at this time. Pastor Babalola, you're welcome, sir. It's good to have you here. Urola, what's your question? Whose one is taking them to my SQL installer? Let me explain something to you guys, please. AB, am I calling that name well? AB or Fubu?
Yes, sir. You are trying, sir. You are trying.
Okay, I'm trying. Thank you.
Yes, sir. What is the difference between the Workbench and Management Studio?
Management Studio is for Microsoft. Workbench is for MySQL.
Okay.
Management Studio is for Microsoft. It's Microsoft database. You use my Management Studio for Microsoft database. You use Workbench for database stored with MySQL. It's just different company application entirely. All right. So let's have that. Let me see. There was something I was going to treat with you guys. So a lot of people have been opening the community server. This MySQL installer, this is what a lot of you have been opening. MySQL installer community. If you open this, it will totally take you back to your installations and everything, back to this process. So this is not the application that we are using right now. Okay. What we are using right now is Workbench. So what you should be searching for on your computer is the application called MySQL Workbench. Okay, so you see the application. This is the application we're using. This is the one that opens Workbench to you, and what we just opened here is Workbench. All right, so please kindly get that. We are not using the community installer again. That's not the one we are using anymore. We are using Workbench this time around. That community installer is to either configure or install MySQL. I think Pamela,
Yes, sir.
you have a question for me.
So when I try to do the test connection after putting my password,
Okay.
the prompt I get is incompatible non-standard server version or connection protocol detected 8.1.0. A connection to this database can be established, but some MySQL Workbench features may not work properly since the database is not fully compatible with the supported versions of MySQL. And there's a prompt for continue anyway and cancel. If I click on continue anyway, it tells me successfully made the MySQL connection, but nothing pops up after that.
And you don't have your instance created. Like you don't have the instance like this by the time you're done with successfully created.
No, it doesn't come out.
It doesn't come up
So
like
can
this.
you just let her share our screen so that you'll be able to control the phone.
Okay. Deborah, I'm clicking MySQL Workbench. It's not opening. Interesting. You guys may have to look for support sessions now. In our paid boot camps, we have support sessions where we get to deal with things. But let me see, Pamela, let's see what you have there. First fish.
Pamela, can you present?
Okay, let me see what you have here. Okay, test connection. This is the first time I'm having to encounter this. Click on continue anyway. Let me see. Successfully made connection. Okay, click on OK. Then close this instance. Just close this instance here. And you still don't have this thing here. Okay, so you know what you're going to do for me? Kindly just take a screenshot of that, okay, and
Okay.
send it to the group. I'm going to make research on what that is. This is the first time I'm coming across that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, but try using this your local instance. It should work as well.
Okay.
Mr. Boswell,
Please,
yes.
where can we find out that installation? What we installed? Is it under downloads or documents?
Okay, so I'm not. Do you mean what the one
Yeah, what
the
we
application
installed.
you downloaded from,
Yeah.
or
So
the
how can
installation
you
you made?
access it? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not sure where you saved it into, but if you're talking about the download you made from Chrome, from that MySQL website, that application should be by default it should go to your download folder. If it doesn't go there, I'm not sure where you saved that into.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but try to follow the video on YouTube and then run the
I've
installation.
downloaded, but it's still taking me back to downloads again.
Search for
Have you
Workbench
installed it?
on your PC.
Type search.
Installed. I installed it yesterday, and it brought out that Workbench, but it's not coming up.
Hello, please can you guys just let
Go
me
and search
handle
for
this?
that
Just hold on. First
MySQL
fish.
Workbench.
People don't dey complain. Please let's move forward, sir. Probably we'll watch it later on YouTube if we miss.
Okay, so hold on, Chief. So what I need you to do is this. Everybody, again, I'm just going to say this again. Maybe you missed it when I said it. Once you're done installing your Workbench, the moment you're done installing your MySQL, and you did what we did on YouTube to the point of Workbench opening, then what you need to open this time around is not the same installer that you had. Just use your Windows button and search for MySQL Workbench. Okay. So you can search for MySQL Workbench, and then you see the application called MySQL Workbench. Okay. So this is the one you should be using now. It's not the installer that we had earlier.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. All right. Back to what we had. If you open MySQL Workbench, you should see something that is similar to this. Okay, so we have different sections in this. So we have, first off, this first section. Let me take you through this like this. Look at the top right corner of your screen.
Sorry, please. Are you sharing your screen?
Yes, I am. You can't see my screen.
No, I can't see it. I don't know if everybody can see it.
Is it the same with everybody? Can you all see my screen?
Just educator, that's what it's showing from my end.
I can see your screen,
I can
but I
see.
don't know.
You can see your screen.
Let me reshare.
Your screen is visible.
all mute our audios, please, so that we can have clean transition. Okay.
Okay, I can see your screen now. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. You're welcome. Okay, so looking at the top right corner of our screen now, you see that we have three icons here. Okay, so these three icons allow us to toggle either of the panel. So the first one that we have here allows us to toggle our navigator panel by the right. Now this panel here is called the navigator. So yours will most likely look like this. Okay, so we can toggle it off or toggle it on. Okay, so the next panel that we have here is for output. Okay, so whatever code you write here on your script is going to show, the result of that code is going to show on the output panel just below here. Okay, so you can toggle your output panel off and on just to get more space. The last panel that we have here is for SQL additions. Okay, that's by the right here. So we can decide to toggle SQL additions off or on. Okay, so this SQL addition just gives you like maybe like a bit of help or highlight to your codes and all of that. So majority of the times you are not going to be using it for anything. So let's just toggle that off. So within this is where your script is. You see number one. So all of this is called your SQL script. Within this SQL script, this is where you write your SQL code. Okay, so your code to pull out data from your database and all of that. Now, when you are installing SQL, you install some default data sets. Part of the component of SQL includes SQL. What's the word for that again? SQL documentations, right? In the components, you must have seen SQL documentations among the things that we installed. So how you access that SQL documentation is to toggle away from this administration. Can you see my mouse? Move away from this administration and go to schemas. So if you go to schemas, you see three documents. First off, we have Sakila. Second, we have SYS. And then third, we have World. Okay, so these are three SQL database or data sets that came directly with MySQL. Now let's toggle on this and see. I'm just going to use World for an example. So under World, we have the tables inside this database. Okay, what we have here, these are three databases: Sakila database, SYS database, and World database. If you scroll down, you can now see that we now have table inside database. That's to tell you that tables are stored inside databases. Okay, the table itself is not the database, but the table is stored in a database. Okay, so if you have a question, please just drop your questions in the comment section. Okay, if you have questions, just drop them there, please. Okay, let's get back to this while we are expecting the questions to come in. Questions, or if you want to say something, please just drop it in the comment section. Okay, so while we're waiting for that to come in, we said, first off, if you open the World database, you now see that we have tables inside the world. Now, if you open that table database, you now see that we have tables for the cities of the world, okay? We have tables for the countries of the world, and then we have table for the languages of the world, all inside World database. Okay, so if we check for tables for the cities for the world, you can see that we have columns here, which contains all the columns inside that table. So we have ID, name, country, district, and population of the city. Okay, these are the columns inside this. So you can just keep scrolling down. You can do the same thing for the country table. You can do the same thing for the country language table. But we are not meant to do this manually. We are meant to do this through code. Okay, because as a data analyst, your first responsibility is to be able to retrieve data. If, for instance, now this is your company's data, World now, and your company needs you to retrieve data for analysis, you won't be using mouse to be clicking on all of these tables and be going back and forth before you are able to get whatever you need to do. You need to be able to effectively use codes to write to get out your table. Now, the first code that you're going to learn how to use within MySQL is the code to select the database that you want to retrieve data from. Remember, I told you tables are stored inside database. Okay, so this is one database. This is the second database. This is the third database. And in companies can have as much databases as possible. So the database, they might want you, if for instance they have database on customers alone and you need to make an analysis on customers, then it means that the database you'll be using will be customers database. If the company has a database, separate database for staff, it means that if you need to do any analysis on staff, the data will be stored inside staff database. Does that make sense? So the first thing you need to do every time you step into MySQL is to select the database you are interested in using. So in this case, now let's assume now that we want to retrieve data from our world database. That the data I want to retrieve is about a city of the world. Okay, so maybe we want to get data or information about some cities of the world, and that city table is stored inside world database. What we first of all need to do is to select the database that we want to use. Now, to select that database, the code that we use in SQL to do that is to use okay, so we can say use world. Are we together? Now this use is the code. Okay, now we are saying that we want to use the database called world. Okay, now once you're done writing this code, if you look up, you notice that we have a thunderbolt icon here, which is like yellow color. Okay, so this thunderbolt icon is for execute. Okay, now the moment you click on execute, see what happens. Did you notice that world has been selected? Now you would notice that world is bolder now. Are we together? Did you all see that?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
So it means that this code that I has selected the database called world. Now, anything I'm looking for, if I'm searching for any table now, the place that my SQL will go to go and look for that table will be to go to directly. My SQL will go to world database to look for that table because I've already executed a code to say use world. Now we could go ahead to now say, okay, the table that I need that is inside the world is city table. Okay, so select city table. Like I want to select city table, for instance. Now, if I want to go ahead to do that, like I said, my SQL is going to look for that same table inside world database. So for me to do that, first of all, I have to tell my SQL that this use world code that I've written right now, that's all of the code, and I want to terminate it there. I don't want it to read any other code. I'm going to write next as part of this code. So for me to do that, I need to put a semicolon there before I go to my next line of code. Okay, I'm going to explain this. In my SQL, because we're using scripts, if I don't put a semicolon at the end of that code to show that this is just like the way I'm making a sentence in English. Okay, if you're making a sentence in English and you get to the end of the sentence, are you not going to put full stop? Sure, you put full stop there so that the person can know that, okay, this is the end of the sentence, and the next sentence I'm about to make is a new sentence entirely separate from this one. In the same way, use world is a whole sentence in itself in my SQL. So if I need to tell my SQL that this is where this sentence ends and anything I'm writing after this is not a continuation, but a new sentence or a new line of code entirely, I would need to put a semicolon here. So now I can go ahead to write a new line of code to say select. Okay, so I want to select city table now. So I'm going to say select. I'm going to use asterisk for everything. So select everything from city. Can you see it? Now, this select everything from city simply means that I want everything inside city table. Okay? I want everything inside what? City table. Now, if I execute that line of code now, do you now see what we have here? See our output? ID. These are the city IDs. This is the city name, Kabul, Kandahar, Herat, and the rest of them. And then we have the country code where this city belongs to. So like this Kabul is in Afghanistan, Kandahar is in Afghanistan. These are cities in Afghanistan and all of that. So this is the district of the city, Kabul, Kandahar, Herat, and all of that. And then these are the population of the city. Now, do you now see the table? So with this line of code now, I've been able to to retrieve everything that is inside my city table. Now, if this is the data set that I'm interested in right now, you'll find export here, export record set. So you just above your output here, you find export here. So I can decide to export this data as a CSV file and call it city and save it, and then go back to Excel or Power BI to do my analysis, whatever. But now what I've pretty much done is to use an SQL code called select from to pick up all the data set inside the table called city out. Okay, so this is how we interact with this. So because it's already 10:58. I'm going to be stopping class from here, but tomorrow we are going directly into code. We will not be doing all of this. What is database? What is data analysis? We'll go directly into SQL code in tomorrow's class. Okay. So if you have a question, you can ask me before we end class for today, but I wouldn't want to keep you beyond this. I'm very certain that majority of people that are in this class are already sleeping.
Hello, sir.
Please.
I have a
Hello, sir.
question.
Please, one after the other. Just raise your hands, please. Okay, so I have a question here from Steven. Is my SQL case sensitive? No, my SQL is not case sensitive. But it's spelling sensitive. My SQL is not case sensitive. My SQL is spelling sensitive. Okay, so if you notice that I'm using capital letters and small letters, I'm mixing those together. I'm doing that because in my own workflow, this is personal to me. I could use small letter, use it to still work, but in my own workflow, every SQL keyword like select, from, use, usually I like writing them in capital letters. Then any anything that has to do with my table name, database name, blah blah blah, I like to put those in small letters. That's just my own personal workflow. Sure. But my SQL is not case sensitive. All right. So how did you export, sir? All right. So how I did the exporting was this. Let me go back to this. So the moment I executed this select from code and I have the table here, next thing you see, you'd find exports just above here. Okay. So we have export or import. So this is what I'm using. I'm using export, the first icon here, to export data set. The moment you click on this icon here, you're going to be able to save that data set into your computer. Okay, let me see. What other question do I have here? I got it. The level of choosing word, but could not go further. And go further now. What's stopping you? Deborah.
Yes, please.
Don't mind me. I'm sorry. I'm being a bit playful here now. Is there a challenge? Why couldn't you go
Yes.
further?
I don't know. I wanted to type in the query 1, the query 2, select. I couldn't do that.
Okay, so once you're done with that line of code, you can just use your enter key on your keyboard to go to the next line. Okay?
Okay.
Like your normal keyboard enter. Once you enter it, to go to the next line. Like that.
From
Then you
the
can
query
apply.
1, I will go to the query 1 at the top and click on it.
Okay, so do you mean execute or something?
I don't
Because
know
to
how to.
execute, you set this icon here, to use this icon here. Or you can use Control Shift Enter. Control Shift and Enter to execute on your SQL. Okay, so but once you're done with your first line of code, you can hit on Enter on your keyboard to go to the next line to write your next line.
How do I get to my first line of code?
Your first, okay, let's assume this is what you have here, like very blank like this. So to get to your first line of code, you just have to bring your cursor into your query 1 and click there. You can see that that has started for me now.
I did that, and it brought out country 1, country.
Okay, I'm unsure what that is, but just hold on. I think if you have any personal challenge, like, because so that maybe after we treat other people, for those who want to leave, they can just leave. Then those of you, then I can just maybe allow you share your screen, and then we can attend to that. Okay, so just hold on. ABE or Fubu. You can't see
Yes.
Word. You can't see the
Yeah.
database. Did you
Yes. No
install
word.
documentation? Did you
Document.
install documentation?
No. No.
Because part of the
It's telling me
components, if you
that cannot connect to database server. Also, it's showing that on my screen also.
okay, just give it a moment. Just hold on.
I didn't install documentation. Also, I didn't install documentation.
Because if you didn't install documentation, you won't have those. Like, remember that in the installation process on the YouTube video, we said to select full installation, right? If you selected full installation, you're going to also have documentation among the components that you are installing. But just give it a moment. We'll treat that. Let me see who else again has a question for me. Why didn't we write anything in line 2? There's no reason. There's no reason why you can write in line 2. I just decided to do it in line 3. My SQL didn't log in. It brought failed to connect to MySQL. Did you forget your password? Wahid. Okay, to go to line 2 or line 3,
No,
Abiodun,
I didn't forget it. Immediately I clicked on that plus sign. So and I typed the name that my SQL class, and I click on the test connection. So it displayed the error that it couldn't connect to MySQL at 127.00.0.331 IP address like this with the user root.
okay, so just hold on. Maybe after we officially end class, I can take a look at that. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Let me see who else do I have. Thank you very much, Stephen. You're welcome, Chief. Do I have any hands up? Peter Babatunde, talk to me, sir. Chief.
Yeah, thank you so much,
You're
my
welcome,
brother.
sir.
My brother, my love.
My brother. You're welcome,
Please,
sir.
my question is from our workbench. I understood how you got how we darkened the word. That is after we use the use word,
Okay.
the code use word. But
Okay.
without using our mouse, how do I know that there is table? There is city inside the table. I don't know if you understand.
Okay, so I understand I think I understand your question. So in the case of I don't think I'm sharing my screen anymore. Let me Okay, I'm still sharing. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in the case of you wanting to check if there were tables, what tables were inside the database and all of that, you can go ahead to use your mouse. You get to just explore and see the tables that are inside, so that you know exactly how you can write your code. And because most especially because if, for instance, here this is my city here, if for instance I spelled it with capital letter city and all of that, I'm going to get this won't work. It won't work. It's going to Sorry, I said it was not case sensitive. If, for instance, I spelled it with maybe like cities, for instance, this is going to give me the error telling me that table cities does not exist. Can you see that under the output section here, down here,
Yeah.
table cities does not exist. So most times, for you to be very certain what you're dealing with, like maybe like column names or table names, you can obviously use your mouse to scroll down. Do you get? But how you get to retrieve the data you're looking for is by using codes most times. Okay. Yeah. So it's totally fine to use your mouse around your navigation.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. You're welcome, sir. Ugoma.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know my hands were raised. So.
All right, that's okay. You're welcome. Class rep.
Well done.
Thank you very
No
much, ma'am. You're welcome.
problem. After typing use word colon,
Mhm.
it highlighted my word on the left hand side.
It's not column I use. It's not column I use. Semicolon.
Semicolon.
Okay.
Then you jump the serial number 2. Why? Why?
I didn't do that intentionally. I could write my code like I'm using a script. A script does not tell you that you have to write in the next line or something. Even if I went to line 10 to go and write, it will still give me the same thing. So I just did that for to just have a bit of space in my script. I didn't want everything clogged up. But there's no reason why you have to also do the same thing. Either way, it would have still worked.
Then after typing select hash star from city, then semicolon. My city is not dropping down.
What's not dropping down?
The city column.
Mm.
Like the table is not dropping down.
Okay, do you mean this now?
Yeah,
You want it to come down?
yeah.
And so at this moment, it may not come down until maybe you can either delete it for this, like for instance, we have city3 here. You can delete it to go out. Okay, so you run it, see this small tab here. Okay, so you
Yeah.
can just delete that, it will go down, or you can use these three icons by the side to remove your output toggle off your output panel, and then that will give you more space around your work sheet. Okay.
Sorry, please. Can you just show me?
Rhoda.
Yeah, sorry. What you
Okay.
clicked on before use word? Can you just click on that? What's it called?
What I clicked on before use word.
Before use word, yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure what you meant
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
said what I clicked
Before
on
you
before
started,
use word.
which icon did you click on?
I didn't click on any icon before I started.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I guess.
So
Yeah.
this class is recorded. If it's about maybe something I did that you didn't catch up with, you can always go back and slow it down, check it, and follow up. All right, thanks. I think I have two more people to attend to. I have Abiodun.
Just
Abiodun.
want to know. I just want to know how you move from line 1 to line 2 or 3.
Okay, use enter enter on your keyboard.
Enter. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Pamela.
So I
Talk to
was
me.
able to load a new one. Instead of
Okay.
pressing test connection, I used OK, but it's still showing me incompatible. Then secondly, how do I install the documentation?
Okay, so that documentation is supposed to come by default. It's not like you install it separately. Okay. That if you did you follow the instructions on YouTube?
I already had MySQL before.
Okay, so I'm not very certain on how you did yours, so I won't be able to tell if there was a problem. But there was a certain pattern of installation that we followed on the video that we recorded. So
I think
if
I'll just remove
anyone
this one and
and install a
install
new
again.
copy, right? Yeah, that could help.
Sorry, Mr. Honor. What of if she click on that my server community and click on reconfigure, whether she will get it there?
Okay, so I basically that could reconfiguring could work, but I'm not even sure if the version she's using, because the incompatible thing that I'm hearing, I'm sure it's a version thing.
And I'm using 8.1 actually.
8.1.
Yes.
Interesting. Because currently we that even just downloaded yesterday for the class, we're using 8.0, 8.0.35. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how. Like I said, if there's a challenge, just screenshot it. That screenshot, just send it to the group. I'm going to make research and see how I can help you personally with that. On the other hand, if uninstalling and then installing a fresh copy of MySQL is an option, I think it's also valid. Also, are you the one that installed the 8.1 by yourself, Pamela?
Yes, I did.
You installed by yourself.
Yes.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, Stephen Adekunle.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I think
This is
these are
Steven.
the two last people for tonight. Then we'll end.
Okay, I was just about to ask if it's all right to leave the class.
It's okay to leave the class now, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Adekunle.
Sir, please, how can I clear this output with a Hello, sir.
Adekunle.
Please, how can I
Okay,
clear
so I'm going
this
to just stop
output?
this recording here now. Officially, okay. Officially,